If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is my honor and privilege to announce that I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court.
There you have it, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, the nominee. Let's not forget that for a second. The nominee for the Supreme Court. Remember, President Trump isn't an emperor, as much as the left would like to think that's all he wants to be, is an emperor, right? The czar, the king, whatever you want to call it. You know, Chad, the only reason he is nominated is because in some of his writings he talks about that no sitting president should ever be indicted. That's the only reason that he is actually the nominee here. Slow your roll. There's a lot of reasons. This guy was on the short list before. He was here again for a reason. What is he like? Is he this person that is this super staunch conservative that is an originalist that's going to look at the document? And that's what this is about. Let's remember, this is about one thing: interpretation. How do they interpret the Constitution? The left interprets it as a living, breathing piece of paper that is evolving and changing. The right, they look at it as this is how it's written. It is meant to be interpreted that way. Period. Case closed. End of story. Now the battle is on, and this guy's had a battle to where he came from. The court that he sat on the land, that district court is probably the second most powerful court in the land, right? So he's on this court that is, you look at all the other federal, courts and you say to yourself, wow, this one, or is it the ninth court, or is it the sixth? His court is probably the second most because of, again, judge shopping, as a lot of, depending on what your issue is. But on top of that, the cases it saw and he saw. But his confirmation was not smooth. Was definitely normally you look in their confirmations are a lot closer, especially in the district courts and the lower courts. Those confirmations are a lot closer than his was. But he was confirmed. The guy got the legal chops. He has the knowing and the understanding of how the court system works. And it's all down to interpretation. In this day and age, the importance of the Supreme Court cannot be underestimated or undersold to the public. It is very, very important. And it's now up to him and the process. And that's what it is. You got to trust the process. And the process is going to be daunting. I saw him last night. He's got his wife. He's got his 2 kids there. And, this is not just about him. Over the next umpteen days and weeks, he is going to face a barrage of negative press, everything he's ever done, everything he's ever written, everything he's ever joked about, talked about, no matter what it is. And don't be surprised if you're going to hear, he said this in, 2008, or he said a joke like this in 2006. And they're going to find everything they possibly can because now it's time to roll out the fear factor. That's what it's time for. It is the fear factor. Here is Mitch McConnell.
I fully anticipate we'll hear all kinds of fantastic stories about the pain and suffering that this perfectly qualified, widely respected judge will somehow unleash on America if we confirm him to the court.
Yeah. So, and you're going to hear those. And you're going to hear stuff that he supposedly did. He did bad things here. He said something here. The way that he's interpreting is this, that, and the other. Because that's both sides do. It's not just a Democrat thing. Both sides do it, because when you have a chance to pick a Supreme Court justice and you understand the longevity of what this person may see in his or her lifetime on the courts, some 30 plus years, you understand how important this absolutely is to not only your presidency, but to America, and especially as we become more litigious and everything seems to end up in court, how important it is to us as our culture, as our livelihood, as all of these things.
Basically the future of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years.
When the Constitution was written in the late 18th century, people were expected to die in their 50s. The framers never contemplated that these terms would regularly go to 30 plus years as they do now. And, you know, that I'm glad everybody's living longer, but that's what raises the stakes on these on these nomination fights so much more, because they serve for so long.
Yeah. I mean, you think about this. It's been 10 years, I think, about a decade, a little bit longer, about 13 years for Justice Roberts. 13 years, give or take. You know, he's been there. He's 63 years old, I think. If he does the same thing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he's still got another 22 years on the bench, and she's still not done. This guy's 50. Brett Kavanaugh's 50. He has another 3 decades potentially, as long as he stays sharp and he doesn't die, you know, because they are human beings. And let's be real. I mean, you know, you look at, Anthony Scalia and others. Sometimes you die. Sometimes things happen. You get sick. Not just, you know, physically, sometimes maybe mentally you start to lose it. So, I mean, but all things being what they are, there's a good chance this guy's got another at least 25, 30 years to be on that court. So, yeah, does it shape the court? It's vitally important. It really is. Now, what's going to happen? Well, first and foremost, if you're a Democrat, you got to do one thing.
If the Democrats succeed on shifting this confirmation battle to the ground of Roe versus Wade, that's a question for the American people. And while there's strong feelings on both sides, most Americans are somewhere in the mushy middle. They're for abortion in some cases, against it in others. And if they feel that he is extreme, if he can be portrayed as extreme on this issue, the Democrats might have a shot.
And they've got to portray him as extremely extreme. It can't just be like, you know, kind of a smidge, or maybe that, you know, you've got to make him bad and evil. That's how you win in this. And they know that they're coming from a point of desperation, right? The American people see that. And the American people are smart enough as a group, right? I'm not talking about individuals, but as a group, that we can look and go, look, they're going to throw some things out here now that's going to be uncomfortable. They're going to say some things. They're going to try to paint him in a light that's awful, that everything he's ever done. And the reality is we're going to find out who this guy is, right? Is he as perfect as some people say? This guy is perfect. He was born to be a judge. He was born to do this. He was born. I don't know about that, because he's a human being. And at the same time, is he going to be as bad as the left is going to portray him? No. Like everything, like they just said there, the mushy middle. But the left only has, you've got to say he's extremist, period. Can't say anything else. You've got to say he is an extremist, and he is going to destroy everything in the world.
If anyone believes that Judge Kavanaugh or anyone else on the list would uphold Roe v. Wade, then I have a bridge to sell them.
Okay. I joked about it yesterday. Whenever I hear this guy mentioned, or any of the picks that potentially were out there, it was always just abortion, right? Maybe some civil rights here, but it was almost like he's not going to hear any other case. The minute abortion is not on the docket, they're like, you got to leave because you're only the abortion judge. That's all you're here for. You're Judge Abortion. You're not here for anything else. just here for judging. Maybe we'll bring in for, because we're thinking about getting rid of throwing out and, civil rights and, we're thinking about bringing back Jim Crow laws. But you may come back for that. But right now, all that we can say is you're an abortion judge. So if it's not abortion, we can't have you here. And that's not what he's just there for. Right. But you've got to come after it if you're them and in a way where you've got to paint him as an extremist. And I said, and I've been saying since Jump Street when it comes to this, it's a states' right thing. Abortion will be legal, but some states will choose to try to narrow it down. Look, this is it. If yes, you can get an abortion here, but it's got to be this, this, and this. And it can only be this, this, and this. And you're going to have to jump through some hoops. Like it or not, that's the reality. And some states have been doing that. They're not trying to overturn it. What they're trying to do is make it as difficult as possible. California makes it difficult for you. New York City makes it difficult for you to have guns, right? You got to jump through hoops. And even if you jump through all of the hoops, they may still say, eh. Yeah, they may still say, eh. So for the left, what do? It's fear. Because fear is that one thing. You're going to lose something. You're going to have something taken away from you. You're going to lose something. So you've got to paint him as the most extremist human being on earth, right? This is it. This guy he's as evil as it gets. He's a cisgender, male-privileged white man that is only here to take away your voting rights and your reproductive rights. That's what he's here for, period.
If Judge Kavanaugh was to be confirmed, women's reproductive rights would be in the hands of 5 men on the Supreme Court.
Oh. I've always said this about the whole abortion thing. Men, let's stay out of it. We will let the women all vote. All the women over the age of 18 have a say in this. So you all have a vote. And whichever way you guys choose, we're going to go from there. And sometimes I don't want to be involved. At this point in time, let you guys handle it on your own. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful day. What do you think of this character, this guy? Is he the one? Let me know. You can tweet the show at Chad Benson Show. You can text the program as well, 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
Never in the history of medicine have people in this country and around the world been so happy to see boys brought out in ambulances. But that's the way it is here. You can see the enormous relief among these troops and the soldiers. The fact is, from the Navy SEALs, they report they are out of the cave.
Just in time for the World Cup final, too, by the way. Got one finalist ready to go. France beat Belgium today. So as I joked around earlier, the Frogs beat the Waffles. And these kids were saved. And what a great, if you look at the way that this went down, it was pretty awesome. You remember last week, they're like, could be September. And we're like, September? But then they were smart to go, look, we're at the beginning of the season of the monsoons. And probably not. If this was the end of the monsoon season, I could see how they say, we might wait this one out. But there was no way. There was no way. You're at the beginning of the monsoon season. You're expecting anywhere between another 2 to 3 months of heavy rains. Who knows what could have took place? And they got the kids out today. And one of the things that they talked about that was in their favor, I want you to listen to them. It's a little game that these kids actually play.
We're hearing good things about their conditions for the most part. They said that the boys, actually, their stamina was better than you might have expected because, why? Because they were on a soccer team. They, play sports and they are athletes, young athletes, and they probably had better overall health than kids who don't exercise a lot. So that seems to have weighed in their favor.
Thanks, Sherlock. I love how, well, they probably were in better shape than kids that weren't. Why don't you just say it? Look, they're fit little kids who play a sport. And, like, if this was a bunch of video game nerds that got stuck down there, we'd have been like, they might die. We tried to take one of the fat ones out, and he got stuck, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we're gonna have to wait. Well, the good news is with him being stuck, no more water's gonna get there. The bad news is we're gonna have to wait a long time to get these other kids out. But these kids, it wasn't just the kids, and I don't think people realize this. A doctor actually volunteered to go down in the cave after they found the kids, went down inside the cave, and he was the one kind of directing the Navy SEALs. Okay, look, take these kids out first, then these kids, and we'll work our way through. And it's a long, drawn-out procedure. It's not like, it's a mile and a half, 2 miles underneath, but it's just a quick swim. Pitch black, dusty, dirty water. It was crazy, but they've got themselves out, and they're free. And, by the way, for those of you not keeping score, so far, I'm going to say that again, 2 producers from Hollywood have been there since the news broke that they found the kids, working their way around, talking to the parents and the powers that be, because they both feel that this is going to be a huge opportunity of a feel-good story of the year. And they wanted to be first on the scene because they knew that some of the bigger companies were sending their people out once the kids were out safe and sound and everything is okay. So now the inspirational story can be told. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I just that took no time at all, right? Like they got there before. That's Hollywood, man. They said, look, we got to be quick. You got to be fast in this business. Speaking of business, speaking of being fast, are you fast to recognize good opportunities? If so, it's time for you to learn about cryptocurrency. Let me tell you something. Big venture capital businesses like Rockefeller, right? Vernrock, right? That's them getting into cryptos. Rockefeller's net worth, $1 trillion. If you can put them all together, they made a fortune investing in new technology. Vernrock was the company put together things like Apple and Intel. That's what they got into. Goldman Sachs, the Rothschilds, you name it, they're getting into cryptocurrency. Why shouldn't you? If they're going there, they've done something right. You look around and you say, I want to do something right too, but I want to learn about it. Perfect. Tiki Tiwari, Palm Beach letter, Wall Street guy, hedge fund guy. He's put something together and he's ready to rock and roll for you and show you how you can invest in cryptocurrencies. You've heard about Bitcoin, but there are so many other ones out there. Why not diversify your portfolio? Take a look at how you can get involved in the future of investing. Go to amazingcryptoclass.com. That's amazingcryptoclass.com. Learn how they buy them, sell them, where you get them, how you trade them, what's blockchain, all of these things that you want to learn. They're going to teach you. Go to amazingcryptoclass.com, amazingcryptoclass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBensen. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You're supposed to get what you want in life, right? There's little things in life. It's like, it's a donut. Today, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had a piece of cake. It was beautiful. It was Chad, you know what? Look, life is short. We've talked about this before. You live to be 81. You live to be 82. you know what? I try to eat pretty healthy, and yeah, I could lose a few pounds. Who couldn't? But I work out more than a few days a week. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I walk 14,000 steps or so, give or take, and I don't drink or smoke or do anything like that. And I feel this guy is paid. So this guy, like many people are finding out, goes to Costco, wants to get his $1.50 Polish dog and soda, and it's gone.
I wait in line, I get all the way up to the front of the line, and they tell me that they don't have Polish dogs on the menu anymore. I'm done.
I'm done. I'm out. That's it. I don't care. I don't need 12 gallons of mayonnaise. I got one kid. I don't need 75,000 Capri Suns, okay? I came here to get a few small things a little bit cheaper. Like a giant 9,000 square inch TV for $1,400 and a Polish dog, damn it, and it's gone. And what if they replace it with? Oh, God. Are you ready for this? This is, I don't even know how to say this. This is just sad. So if you've ever had the Polish dog, it is delicious. It is amazing. They've replaced it with things like is it acacia berry? How do you say that without screwing it up? Acacia berry?
I have no clue.
Yeah, a bowl, right? Now, a meatless al pastor salad that even the company's chief executive is like, it's not awful. Like, that's just it. It's not awful is how you're pitching it? Oh, it tastes okay. But nobody cares about that, right? I mean, my God, if you really cared about how we eat, you wouldn't sell a full pizza for 89 cents. 1,600 pounds of donuts for a nickel. If you really cared. You just think Walmart's a great place to go if you're like, hey, I just want to get a bunch, I want to get 1,400 hangers for a nickel. This is for Walmart. But if you want to go to Costco, it's the same place you go like, what I think I'm doing today? I'm going to buy a Rolex, a big screen TV, 14 gallons of mayonnaise, 1,700 diapers, 2,800 huge things of duct tape, and a Polish dog. That's all I want. And you screwed it up. You jacked the pooch. Oh, and I'm going to buy a car, because you can buy a car there, too. That's why you go to Costco. Just taking the damn... And trust me, I know how that guy feels, right? Because we've all been there. What's that one thing you have? That's like, that's my thing. I like that thing. That's my thing. And I like it. And then you go there and like, we don't have that anymore. Well, why don't you have it? Well, we've decided to have a Casa Berry, whatever. It's like nobody's going to Costco to eat healthy. My God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Guess what, kids? Those kids still not with their folks.
Today they said that that 4 have been reunited thus far, and additional 34 would be reunited today, but couldn't promise any additional reunifications today. The judge made crystal clear that these deadlines, in his words, were not aspirational.
Still no Polish dogs. This is the thing that drives me crazy about Trump. And I know that he was trying to send a message. I think people forget that. I think people think, because with Trump, there is no situation where he can step back and go. And part of that's on Trump, and part of that's on the reaction of people when it comes to Trump, right? Like where if this was Obama or even Bush, you could come back and say, you know what? We were trying to stem immigration. We didn't think the parents and the kids should be together. We don't want to reward these people. It was a misthought, it was a misfire from us trying to do something. But with Trump, you don't get that. You don't get any of that. You don't get the sympathy where people might go, okay, I get it. No worries. Next time in the future, maybe we don't do something like this and we apologize. People are like, it's okay. At least you were honest about it. With Trump, you don't get it, right? Because Trump comes out and he says wacky things. Says, now we're going to reunify it like he's the hero. And it's just, the problem is some of the kids these are all kids under 5 that supposedly it's about 100 of them, 102 that have to be reunited. 53, I think, have been. Some that haven't. A couple that were apparently given to some people that, I don't know if they were relatives or friends. Some parents apparently have already been deported. And so these kids are in, custody. It's just, you misfired. You did. You misfired. And it was a mess. The whole thing is a mess. And this is on Trump. And this is where I get mad at Trump, because I don't have patience, because I know what he was trying to do. It's the attitude afterwards that always drives me crazy with Trump, right? He's got an attitude afterwards where you sit there and just get over it. Just come out and say, look, we tried something. It didn't work. That's what people want. I think of life, people, if you're honest like that, you come out and you say, you know what? I tried something. I thought it would work. Our whole thing is we want to stem the tide of illegal immigration, and we are sending people off to essentially, jail because they've come here illegally. And because we're sending them off to jail, we've got to also realize that we can't have kids in a jail-like situation. We tried something. It didn't work. We're sorry. And it's gone south. And now we're in a situation where we're trying to reunify these kids, and we don't have a real good understanding. And part of that is because government is useless. Just because Trump's president doesn't mean government has changed. It's not. That's what I was talking to my friend the other day. He's very conservative. And he's saying, well, government, he's talking about all this stuff with Trump and how well it earns. And I thought, the majority of government is still the government that was somewhat incompetent under President Obama and under President Bush and under Clinton. It's not like, okay, new president, so everybody who works in government is fired. And no, it's not that way. It's a small, itty-bitty percentage of people that come in with the new administration. It's not no wave of people. And that's why I always that's what I've been telling the left. If you guys want to get the right on board with your cause about something like this is where you get them to champion the fact that government is incompetent, because the right will do that every day. We want smaller government. They're incompetent. This is what happens when government gets involved in stuff. They'll be all over it. Now, it's one thing you guys can unite on. And government is a mess. And this is, the way that the Department of Homeland Security, the way that a lot of this stuff has gone down has not been good. Has it been overblown? Absolutely. Because that's what we do now. We're like, oh, my God, we get into this anger ball and we roll around smashing things. And, the dramatization of stuff, it's ridiculous. But the reality is it is kind of a mess. And it's a self-made mess.
The Government Council assured us that the Office of Refugee and Resettlement has been working with faith-based groups to make sure the parents do not walk out of detention centers all over the country without anybody there to greet them and help them with logistics.
Yeah, it's been a disaster, and we need to get these kids back with their parents. We need to do it quick, and we need to sort this thing out as fast as possible. All right, this has been enough of a nightmare, and look, Trump didn't cause this mess of illegal immigration that has continued to just motor along for, 2.5, 3 decades, pretty much with nobody saying it. Every once in a while, I can spend a microphone, legal immigration's got to stop. And then everybody's like, and then we go on with our life and nobody really pays any attention. And you're like, hey, today you go to the microphone and it's your day to say illegal immigration is bad, but we know what you really mean. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But this mess in particular on the border with the separating of kids, that's been on Trump. And that's been on his administration. And the mess that it is, I blame Trump for. I do. I blame his administration. I blame his people around him. The giant mess he didn't cause, but this little itty-bitty mess did make things easier. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, Trump landed tonight in Belgium. And nobody cared because Belgium was playing France in the World Cup semifinals. So, everybody's like, eh. And so he's going to meet the Pooter this week in a secret meeting, a love rendezvous, apparently. And who knows what they're going to discuss. And here's the thing with Trump. Because Trump tells porky pies, right? Because he stretches things that happen. He catches a goldfish and he tells everybody, oh, my God, you guys didn't see what I caught? I caught a carp. It was 12 feet long. You're like, you caught a goldfish at a pet store. You did catch a fish. It just wasn't that. who knows what they're going to talk about. He said it could be the easiest meeting, and he's going to sit down, and I know he's busting NATO's balls, and he's got every right to in a lot of ways. It's Greece. What did I say today? It was like it was like Greece and like Cyprus. There's like 3 or 4 countries that comply with what you're supposed to do, and then all the rest of these countries that don't. And you're like, wow, like Bosnia. It was so bizarre, and I get why he's doing that. And we have shouldered a fair amount of this. And when people freak out and say, well, is it going to be NATO? NATO is not going anywhere. It's a treaty. It's not going anywhere. He's just pushing their buttons because he feels like, look, America shoulders a lot of this stuff. You guys can do all these great things, like have single-payer health care, like have all of these great social nets that everybody loves so much over there. You guys get to have these because we protect your ass. Let's remember that. And we pay a huge freight to do that. So maybe it's okay that every once in a while you pick up a shovel too and start digging along with everybody else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC, brother. If you're new to the show, great. If you've been listening for a long time, great. What is AMAC? Well, you can hear me talking about them a lot. I partner with them. And if you don't know who they are, basically you have this behemoth that is ARP, this Goliath, and that's not your values. That's not really what you're about. On the other side, you've got AMAC, and they're looking at Medicare reform. They're looking at all of this stuff that they want to reform. Like they're going to put their money into values that you like, that are really the kind of thing that you think about when it comes to our country. And on top of that, they're not just one of these things like all we do is just advocate stuff. No. Just like that big other behemoth, ARP, they give you all kinds of great things. 40% off movie tickets, access to supplement dental plans with savings up to 60% off, 40% savings at places like, SeaWorld, Legoland, Disneyland, Disney World, Six Flags. You get it. Discounts on hotel bookings and rental cars. It's a lot of stuff, and they're great. Now, you're over 50, you've thought about it before, maybe you're unhappy with that other company, and you're saying to yourself, I'd like a piece of that. How much is it? For you, nothing. Free 1-year membership. The only requirement, you got to be over 50. This is what you do. You go to amac.us/Chad, sign up for the first year for free. That's no cost, right? So it doesn't cost you a penny, no tricks, no credit card required, just a free membership for 1 year. Go to amac.us/Chad, or you can call 888-355-1668. Again, that's 888-355-1668, or online at amac.us/Chad. You won't be disappointed because it's free. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. You can tweet us. I've got a poll question up. We'll touch on that. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker anytime of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
The makers of e-cigs always have promoted them as a better alternative.
Because it's vapor, not tobacco smoke.
And many have made the argument that vaping could help smokers stop using tobacco. But this study, published in the journal PLOS One, questions that. Researchers followed traditional cigarette smokers for a year. Of those who said they also vaped, only 10% gave up traditional cigarettes during that year. Those who only smoked tobacco were twice as likely to quit smoking. Why? They don't say. Could be those who were determined to quit didn't want to just get their nicotine another way.
I don't normally read PLS one. KSR one I would read, but so what a shocker. Vaping and e-cigarettes don't help. The whole thought with this was you were going to transfer a really bad habit to potentially a bad habit, I think was the pretend kind of thought. And instead what it's done is it's created a whole new world of people who, I see my little brother and his friends, they all do it. People who, they don't smoke. They would never smoke a cigarette, but they'll vape with all of these weird, like cinnamon and all of this. It's just weird. And, like you said, producer Phil, I'll take my walks around here, even in the heat, and I see the smokers out there, and there's a few smokers, but most of them are vapors, and they've got they're holding this giant machine, like a computer, and you're like, what is that? Like, that's not, is that supposed to be cool? It's a hipster thing. That's what it is. It's I feel like it's a hipster thing, but, and they've got to spend money to promote you not using their products, cigarettes, when the reality is cities and states don't want you to stop using their products because the tax money they get from that revenue is massive. So, yeah, they don't want you to die from lung cancer, but neither do the cigarette companies, by the way. They want you to smoke forever. If they could keep you alive forever and smoke, they would. But they know they can't. So they've got to have truthnow.com or truth.gov or whatever stupid thing they've set up. And people know now. This is the way I feel about cigarettes. You know now. If you're 15, 16, or 17, you could be like, I didn't know. Everybody knows. It's like football. 5-10 years ago, a kid getting into the sport may not have known about this. Now that it's all out, you kind of know. You're playing at your own risk. Smoking's the same way. But smoking is weird. And the whole vape thing I always thought was kind of a weird thing. I mean, it's like, and it was always gum. And then people that would stop smoking, they'd put on a lot of weight. It's because it's literally you're trying to find one somewhat better addiction for another. You don't do that with anything else. You just say, hey, Jim, I know you do heroin and you really like it. But if you thought about this, we're going to put saline and a little bit of sugar into this, and you could pretend to shoot up, and it'll be great. No way. And then the hipsters would get it, and they'd just, of course, like everything else, they'd ruin it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. So, poll question today is, what do you think of this guy, this Kavanaugh cat? Right? Is he good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? Are you worried? Are you not worried? Some people say it's a great choice. 5% say it's an awful choice. 21% say it's interesting. I'm kind of in there. I think it's an interesting choice. And 16% said who? Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. You can tweet us. You can also text the program as well. 323-538-2423. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is my honor and privilege to announce that I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court.
There you have it. That's the nominee. I wanted Judge Judy, maybe Judge Dredd, Judge Wapner. I would have been fine with any one of those. Trump wanted none of my ideas, and he went with Brett Kavanaugh. Joining us now from Hillsdale College, Dr. Adam Carrington. And, Doc, let's just first and foremost ask the question is, who is this guy?
Right. That's a good place to start. And he is, in many ways, a man who has been bred for this job. He grew up in the sort of conservative legal establishment that has been built up around the Federalist Society and other legal organizations. He went to Yale Law School, worked for the Ken Starr's investigation into Bill Clinton. He's the principal author of the infamous Starr Report. He worked in Bush 43's White House before serving on the D.C. Circuit Court, which is the most prestigious court below the Supreme Court since 2006. So in many ways, his resume is about as perfect as one would expect out of someone to be appointed to the Supreme Court from just the pure resume standpoint.
Yes, but as we all know, the pure resume gets tossed out the window, and now we start talking ideology, we start talking fear, we fearmonger, because that's the thing that we do, and both sides do it. We know that, Doctor. So you go out there, and even when he got confirmed, to what many see as the second most important court in the land, it was not an easy confirmation hearing. And I talked to a doctor last night from a professor out at ASU, said, normally you don't see something that contentious, but this guy is definitely an originalist, and he may be, many people think this is the guy that, is the conservative, taking over for the passing of the great Alito.
Right, and part of that is just the situation. Things have gotten even more rancorous in judicial appointments, and also who he's replacing, in that he's replacing Kennedy, and everyone realizes, even more than Gorsuch, who replaced a similar justice to himself in Scalia, he's replacing Kennedy and making a significant shift on the court if he is what conservatives want him to be. And I think you're right. At the same time, he is also worrisome to those who don't support the president or don't support the party, because he's seen as one of the more brilliant legal minds of the last generation of conservatives. So I think that that worry too, because once you get on the court, you're on it permanently, and he's going to be, I think, a big major player. And on that, he might not be the most electrifying choice. I think that was Barrett, but in some ways, he's one of the safer choices as far as at least what we know about him.
I meant Scalia, not Alito. But, the safer choice for conservatives, maybe, for liberals, they started protesting 5,000 years ago, and it's not stopped. Last night they were out in front of, there they were, and protesting anywhere they could find a piece of land that was open in D.C. It is going to be tough, Dr. Carrington, to get this guy through. Nothing is easy, but they do have the power to do it. Do you see any way, shape, or form that there isn't any craziness from the left? I spoke yesterday, I read a great article about, Ruth Bader Ginsburg saying that, Orrin Hatch was her biggest supporter back in the day, which surprised a lot of people. And she kind of smoothed on in there. We don't live in that day and age anymore. Is there anybody on the Democratic side that may jump ship?
If they do jump ship, it won't be in the spirit that Hatch supported Ginsburg, where in many ways the idea was the Senate is a check on a candidate who's not qualified, not necessarily a candidate who doesn't share your ideology. That's all out the window. I think that the only way you could get some Democrats, and I think it's possible, I believe it was 3 Democratic senators supported Gorsuch, it will be Democrats in very red, very Republican states who are up for re-election this fall. So Heitkamp in North Dakota, maybe Tester in Montana, certainly possibly Joe Manchin in West Virginia. There might be enough hometown political pressure there to cause them to flip, but I think you're pointing to the bigger problem, or the bigger, at least, reality, which is that we have a massive ideological divide that goes not just to policy, but to how one interprets and should interpret the Constitution. So it's almost inevitable that that's going to play out in a kind of flame war once you get the nomination hearings going.
It is going to be interesting as we talk to Dr. Adam Carrington from Hillsdale College. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the divide is so massive. You talked about it, just a minute ago. Orrin Hatch. This was whether or not you're qualified. That's gone nowadays. Now it's all about they see the court is probably one of the most important things because of how long you can be on the court and how it can sway. And you're replacing potentially somebody, a moderate, especially when it comes to social issues, with somebody who people are looking at and saying, this guy's going to take away everything. Women are going to be back in the kitchen and pregnant, and, the Jim Crow laws are going to be reenacted. Some of the craziness I've heard about these people. The reality is, he's already said, he looks at Roe v. Wade as settled. He's narrowed decisions in certain areas and places, but the reality is he's already looked at that as settled.
And we'll see. I will say that if you're a lower court judge, you do have to say that you'll follow precedent, because Supreme Court precedent is binding on you in a way that it's not to the same degree as a justice. But I think they are overreacting and doing so in a way that they're trying to drum up support for the fall elections, drum up enthusiasm for their political agenda. But at the same time, I do think that Kavanaugh looks like he'll be someone who will not support many of the gains that the political left has made that he believes go against the Constitution. And I think it is true that more originalist, textualist approaches to the Constitution are going to have a much solider majority, meaning that I think the left does have things to worry about, even if I agree. I think they're being really hyperbolic, and it also shows just a misunderstanding of how originalists and textualists justices approach the Constitution, the idea that they're going to just throw out Jim Crow and that they're going to do all these other things as if their approach is just hyper-partisanship. I think that misunderstands what's going on among that school of judges.
You know, you talk about what they should be worried about. What should they be worried about? I know the LGBTQ community is worried. I know women are worried. I saw that Google, the most searched thing was, at-home abortions and stuff like that. And I think, he looks at it. The way I've kind of read a lot of his stuff is, especially when it comes to this, is states' rights. And I tell everybody, look, Arizona has a different gun rights as far as California. You can do certain things there. For it comes with abortion, I think it's going to be the same. Some states are going to narrow it. They're not going to make it illegal, but you'll have to jump through some more hoops.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I like to tell this to my students and ask them, how many Supreme Court justices have ever said that abortion should all be illegal because there is a constitutional limit on there's a constitutional right to life for the unborn, and therefore all abortion should be illegal everywhere. And the answer is actually zero. Not a single justice has ever said that. The debate is between those who say there's a fundamental right to an abortion versus Scalia himself said states can have abortion on demand if they want, or they can ban it if they want. It's purely a states' rights issue. It's purely a state power issue. And if Roe v. Wade was overturned, I have no doubt that would be the argument. It would be go to your legislatures and have them pass the abortion laws that you as a state believe is best, in the best interest and the best approximation of justice. So I think that's overreacting. There's no way that's going to happen. The abortions are going to be illegalized in New York or California, for example. So I think that's another way where people are misinterpreting or being overly scaremongering over what might happen in this shift in the court.
Last question. I appreciate you coming on, talking to Dr. Adam Carrington, Hillsdale College. October 1st, that's Mitch McConnell wants to have this done and dusted by October 1st. What's the reality of that actually being done?
I think it's got a good chance. I think if there was a couple other candidates that it could have been done quicker, he has such a long paper trail and has that past history that I talked about with Ken Starr in the Bush administration. There's going to be a lot of questions there, but I think that Mitch McConnell showed with the last process that he knows how to get this done and get it through. I imagine that that's going to be the case here. It's going to be nasty, a lot of fireworks, but there's going to be more bark than bite. So I think that's a high chance he gets through and he's sitting on the court by then.
Well, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Nothing's going to be easy, as we've seen, not only with this president, but with the way that politics are nowadays. Dr. Adam Carrington, Hillsdale College. Love talking to you. Appreciate you coming on, and go Reds!
Yeah, thank you. It's I don't have to have the bag over my head for them the last month or so. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Hopefully Kavanaugh will do better than the Reds did to start out the season. Appreciate that. We'll talk to you soon, Doc.
Thanks.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, 323-538-2423. What do you think? What do you think of this pick? This guy's got a long paper trail. He is definitely more of an originalist. This guy it's going to be very interesting to see. And he is a little bit more, I could see why some people would be worried in some ways. But I love what he said there. And again, to me, everything's about states. States rights are so much more important. And as I tell people, look, California is different than Texas or Arizona. Jack and I were in Arizona a couple weeks ago. We're hanging out, And he's looking around, and there's a lady walking around, and she's got a gun on her hip. She's like, Daddy, that person's got a gun on their hip, and that person's got a gun. I'm like, yeah, you could do that here. Why? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. I said, well, no, in Arizona you can. And he was shocked. He was shocked. Nobody seemed to care. Different than California. So, it may be a states' rights issue, but it's not going away. The fear-mongering is amazing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It is the Chad Benson Show.
A bird in the hand is worth 140 on Twitter, so tweet your beak off at Chad Benson Show Twitter. And if instant gratification is your thing, hit Chad up on Instagram at Chad Benson. Your bird will thank you.
You text the program always. Love hearing from you. Earlier, we were talking about smoking and vaping and how vaping doesn't really help. And somebody said, I saw the truth truck at a sports car race in Georgia. Nobody was stopping to talk to them. So all the staffers were sitting around in front smoking in their truth T-shirts. Oh, my goodness me. The libs are freaking out, says one texter. Running around like a chicken. They hate the Constitution. Here's my thing with liberals, right, and with conservatives. I don't think one loves the Constitution or hates the Constitution. And, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I was watching this thing with her and, of course, Anton Scalia. They were talking. They just interpret it in a different way. One of them looks at it as this is the way it's written. I'm going to interpret it in this. This is the written word that it was on, and I'm going to interpret this way. The other one says, look, it's a living, breathing document, and we should interpret it in the spirit it was written in at the time. But over time, things have changed, which is the reality of things. Things have changed over time, right? And I don't think one loves or hates it. I think they both love it equally in a just different way. I don't think either of them hate it. The problem is they, especially on the liberal side, is they freak out in a way that is just, it is so, and I saw it, not to the extent, I saw it with Obama, right? But not to the extent of this. Because with Obama, it was like gods and guns and a little bit of and then but it kind of died down and everybody got on with their life. With the liberals, it's every day their hair's on fire for something. Every day there's a new trauma, a new drama, a new craziness, something to lose their mind over. And I've never seen that, no matter who. Whether it was Clinton, whether it was W, whether it was Obama. I never saw that like I see it now, where they're losing collectively, they're losing their minds in a way that I have never seen. Everything is terrifying. And you're just like, wow, everything is an issue. It's not just a little issue. It blows up to be, it reminds me of like high school, right? Like when you're in high school or you're in junior high and something happens in that world, in that time, it's the biggest, most incredible, oh my God, did you hear so-and-so broke up? And it was, and the next day it was something else, or so-and-so said something. It's that. But it's all the time. It's nonstop. If it's not, it's Trump's a criminal. If it's Russia, and then it's Trump's, hashtag me too, and then Trump is this and Trump is that, and he stole the election, and he's a racist, and he's stealing, and blah blah blah. It's always something. He hates women. And that's why he wants to put somebody on the bench that's going to make sure that he takes away every right that everybody who's not a straight white male has, which is a bunch of crap. And I will tell you guys this now, mark it down. And for the people that are out there, independent, you're listening to this. For people who are liberal, you're listening to this. For people who are conservative, you're listening to this. I'll be the first one out there if they tried to reenact some really stupid thing to say that is ridiculous. And if we got to fight for whatever it is we got to fight for to make sure that we don't lose, hey, we're going to have Jim Crow laws. No, it's not going to happen. We're taking away this. Women are going to be back in they're taking away the vote. Not going to happen. Everybody slow your roll. just for a second. But I've never been in a situation in the political world, as long as I've covered politics and I've done politics and pop culture and life, because I talk about life, where it's, you know what, anymore, it's that family that is, everybody's got a family or a friend where everything in their life is drama. And that's what a lot of people, and I'm not talking about just the run-of-the-mill person who votes Democrat and gets on with their life. I'm talking about the real progressives where everything is drama. Everything is freak out. Everything is hair on fire. Everything, the sky is falling. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Why do we even have the Miss America pageant? I asked that question. I think it's fair to ask, right? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I think it's safe to say that free peanuts have been synonymous with flying, right? Those little bags or big treats at 30,000 feet to be sure. Well, Southwest Airlines is crushing the tradition, but for a fairly good reason. Starting August 1st, the airline is going to stop giving out peanuts to ensure a better experience for people that are flying who have peanut allergies. Southwest is known for serving the little snack on every flight. In fact, last time I flew Southwest, they tossed him down the aisle while we were taking off. It was kind of exciting. The company even used peanuts to emphasize its discount fares. Instead, they will provide free pretzels aboard their flights.
I have no problem with that. Look, you know, I think we freak out, right? You know, I mean, could they have said, hey, look, what we do now is we ask you if you have a peanut allergy or, you know, before you get on an airplane. And I mean, we could do that. But the reality is it's peanuts. I get frustrated at schools where, like, we can't have anything peanut. It's like, well, wait a minute here. We're not 35,000 feet in the air. We're not in a square room, you know, with 500 people standing around and everybody's got a peanut. You know, if you're at a school and Jimmy's got a allergy, the nurse will know that, and Jimmy will eat where he has to eat, you know. And as he gets older, he'll, you know, be able to make his own decision. And but it's, you know, 35,000 feet in the air, it's a different story. I have no problem with this. I know people are freaking out. Oh my God, this is. Now, you know, 35,000 feet. This is a CYA thing too, right? Because even though in this litigious society that we live in, that you know you have a peanut allergy, and you get on an airplane, and they're serving peanuts, and then you don't say anything, then you get sick and something happens, that you could still sue anyways, and you're just, they're like, you know, let's be done with it all. Let's be done with it. If we're done with it, it's better. We can move on. We don't have to worry about that lawsuit. We'll have other ones, right? We still got the person who got sucked out the window, so we got lawsuits coming. But let's not have another reason to have a lawsuit. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Question of the day. It's a pretty simple question. What do you think of the nominee to take over for Anthony Kennedy retiring out of the Supreme Court? Brett Kavanaugh. Sounds like some sort of, I don't know. Sounds like somebody who would be a star in the 50s. Did you guys hear about Brett Kavanaugh? Yeah, that guy's pretty cool. In the 50s, right? He performed with the Beach Boys before he went off and made a whole bunch of Western movies. But what do you think of him? Most people think it's a good choice. And not everybody does, you know. 6% say, oh, it's an awful choice. And I always wonder, what are you basing that off of? And even if it's a great choice, what are you basing it off? Because most people, you've read none. I've read a few of his things and got through part of it, but let's be real. It's legal jargon. It's not super exciting. One of my good friends is a lawyer. I'm like, you read some of it? He's like, dude, that stuff's like watching paint dry. I don't care about that stuff. Right? Unless it affects me in a case. Oh, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know. But it's, he's going to get confirmed. But what do you think? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Take the poll there. Good idea. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. That's a great pick. Bad pick. Interesting pick. I think to me, I find it to be interesting. I do. I find the whole thing. I find the whole way that they go about doing this, confirming how they confirm why, and how it's changed over the years. Where, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg talked about the fact that Orrin Hatch was a real big supporter, even though she was liberal and she was aligned with the ACLU and all these things. He, a Republican, very staunch conservative, was very supportive of her, maybe her biggest supporter of all. And you don't find that now because we're so partisan. But she talked about, the big thing knock against her was the ACLU. And nobody even asked her a question about that, where he's going to get bombarded with certain questions. That in public and privately he's going to get bombarded with certain questions. That it is so. This isn't about whether or not he's qualified, because he's qualified, right? Like, you understand this guy's qualified. I made the analogy earlier. It's like being on an airplane, right? And your pilot is like, this one's left, this one's right. But are they qualified to fly the plane? Yeah, they're both qualified to fly the plane. Well, I'm a left leaner or I'm a right leaner, and I don't want a right leaner flying my plane or a left leaner. And it's like, this isn't about what our politics are. This is all about, is this person qualified to pilot this plane? That's what this is about. That's it. And that's what it was supposed to be about, but it's not that anymore. Because everybody understands the importance, and because we're so litigious, and because everything now, issue-wise, seems to be in the courts, that it ends up in the courts, and it works its way up to the courts. So having a court that leans one way or another is so valuable, depending, on who's in charge. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is thine Twitter. So Gretchen Carlson, who apparently was a Miss America, people are mad because I didn't even know we have these things anymore. I kind of did, but then I didn't. I thought all we had left was is it Miss World, Miss Universe? I don't even know which ones. You know what it's become now? It's become like boxing. It's like, you're like a world champ. Like, okay, are you a world champ and like a belt I've heard of? Or is this one of those weird, like, WAO359er belts that you get, like that, and it's made out of like a Monster energy drink belt or something? So, but apparently we still have Miss America, but they're getting rid of something when it comes to Miss America. Ooh, what is that? The swimsuit. Because, producer Phil, it's not a beauty contest. We care about what they are and who they are.
The swimsuit competition will be instead replaced with something that's more substantive about the candidate, so that the viewing audience watching on ABC can learn more about the individual and why they might actually be the best person for the job.
Nobody cares. Even with the swimsuit, do you really care? I mean, honestly. But this is my point on something like this. Let's not pretend. Like, this is what gets us in trouble. Let's not pretend. I don't care who you are. I don't even know if that's really you. Everybody is putting their best foot forward, but everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody's got their own little demons they fight day in or day out. Everybody is not who they appear to be, especially in a situation where you shine a light on them. Rarely does somebody go, oh, let me tell you about all of my things. So you could come out and say that on the weekends you rescue puppies and you play with sick kids, and maybe you do, but on weekend nights you party like you're going to stop. I don't know. I thought it was a beauty contest. It's not a beauty contest because it's a what? It's a well-rounded contest? Well, if it's well-rounded, why don't we have well-rounded women in it? Well, we are, Chad. No. I'm talking about, girls that, aren't 5'10" and a size 2. Who are just really good. Maybe we should start that, Phil. Maybe we should have the Miss Average but Cool pageant. That'd be great. Hey, it's the Miss Average but Cool. Right? They're kind of average looking. Well, now you're just, but they're cool. You're like, oh, Chad, you're a jerk. We'll have the same thing, right? We'll have the dad bod contest, right? Oh no, Chad, that's wrong. Why? Why is it wrong? Because this is what it was, and this is what she's coming out and Gretchen Carlson. They're trying to spin it, and I don't even know why. Again, I don't know why we have these, but we have them. Still don't know why. I'm unaware why we, in this day and age, with the Me Too and all of the other things, that we have something like this. But don't BS me on what this is.
We want to pay tribute to tradition, and we believe that physical appearance and beauty and being fit, that is empowering. We're just not going to judge women on that anymore.
Lies. We're all judged on it. Every single human being is judged on how they look. Every person is judged in some way, shape, or form. I'm judged. You're judged. You judge. I judge. We all judge. Let's not BS for a moment. You don't mean to tell me you don't go to lunch with your friends and you don't see somebody walk in, you say, damn. Or you see somebody walking, you go, oh, damn. And the outfits and the whole, of course we do. My God, we're human beings. And we're getting judged. Because if we weren't getting judged, let's be real. Okay, could we for just 1 second? If we didn't care, why do we have mirrors? Right? You could brush your teeth without a mirror. So why do we have mirrors if we don't care about our appearance and we shouldn't be judged by our appearance and we shouldn't judge others by it? Why? Why do we have mirrors? Because we want to look and make sure we look okay. That's why. Because we want to be, and all of us want to be considered good looking. I have never met anybody go, oh, God, I wish I was just so ugly. Nobody does that. We all want to look good. Some people just give up and go, you know what? I'm over. This is as good as it gets. Other people try hard, and some people get to the point where they try so hard that they're like, look, I'm going to body modify myself. I always love it when somebody comes up and says, oh, you got tattoos. And they're standing there with fake boobs and fake lips. Like, yeah. And let me guess, you're going to tell me about non-GMOs too, right? You should really eat non-GMO. Yeah, well, you should have danced with what God gave you. So we'll just move on from there. We all care about what we look like. We're all judged by that. You just said, hey, let's have a boxing match where nobody punches each other. That sounds like fun. No, it doesn't. That's stupid. You're having a beauty contest and nobody cares that she can play the harp. Nobody does. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at us. I wonder what the prize is for Miss America. What do you think it is? Like, did they get money? Did they get something? Okay, here you go. Oh, $50,000 scholarship money, which could be used to repay loans. Ooh. Boy, that sounds like fun. Jeez. Chad, you're being a jerk. Am I being a jerk, Phil, or am I saying something true? Like the whole mirror thing, right? Like, why do you, everybody, even if you know you don't look very good, you're going to look in the mirror. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants you to be, look, I know I don't look great, but I don't want to look disgusting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I want to give you something for free. And by me, I mean AMAC. AMAC's great, right? A decade ago, AMAC, they were founded. They were the alternative to left-leaning Goliath that's ARP. Here's what you get. First of all, an AMAC membership costs less than $20 a year, but I'm giving it to you for free right now. But when you choose AMAC, you're supporting an organization that stands for your values, like protecting our borders with common sense immigration laws and reform, getting rid of Obamacare, right? Just to name a few. And that's exactly why I choose AMAC. And I think you're going to love it. And did I tell you get it for free? And the benefits include things like discount on travel, competitively priced insurance, roadside assistance discounts to theme parks, movies, you name it. It's great. Opportunity is right in front of you to get it for free today. Free. Go to amac.us/Chad. You're going to receive your first year for free. That's amac.us/Chad. No cost, no tricks, no credit card. A free membership for a year. The benefits of this free membership are worth the time it takes to sign up. Do it. You're not going to be disappointed. amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson is the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
I hold back sometimes I won't.
No holding back for Drake. His new album, Scorpion, just topped the Billboard 200 album chart, the rapper and singer's 8th #1 album. Scorpion scored the biggest sales week of the year and also scored the most streams ever in 1 week, 746 million. And he ties the record for most consecutive albums to hit #1, 8, tied with Kanye West, Eminem, and the Beatles.
What? So do you think when the Beatles were doing their thing, they thought one day Drake is going to tie us? What show? He was on a show, right? He was on a Canadian show?
Degrassi.
Degrassi, that's right. Degrassi High. Do you not get street cred for that? Because I would feel like there's not the street cred. Like Snoop's got cred, right? You know, Tupac had cred. Biggie's had cred. But if you're on Degrassi, wasn't Alanis Morissette on that as well?
No, she was on You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh, that's right. That's right, man. Yeah, I don't think you get like that credit. Although that was it. God's Plan. My son is 8, just loves it, and the video's great. Dad, he gives out money to all kinds of people. I think it's a great video. It is a great video, but he is. It's interesting. Speedo's sitting around. Man, look at all of the superstars that we are. No one will ever break our records. Yeah. They look up and like, oh man, here comes Drake. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. So people are texting in saying, yeah, Chad, I judge. Of course we all judge. We're talking about the Miss USA pageant now. They got rid of the swimsuit, and we judge. And this is the part of the problem is we lie to ourselves and we lie to others, right? You get your hair cut because you want to look good. You say you don't want, I don't want to be judged by my looks. You may not want to be judged by your looks, but you want people to look at you. You want people, would you rather people find you repulsive? No. And it's also, as we talk about here on numerous occasions in the Me Too world, a lot of it is who's looking at you, right? Because you're going to look good, and you're going to be stoked if Beckham's looking at you. If producer Phil's looking at you, you're like, I need a restraining order.
I was just going to say the restraining order.
But that's my thing. I see it all the time. It's like, come on, let's not pretend. You know, now because of Me Too, we all have to walk around and we have to pretend that we're not looking at each other. Stop it. Just enough with that crap. There's a great article in Reason. It's like, is this really a Me Too moment, or is just a good portion of this guys kind of being jerks? And that's based on who's looking at what, right? That's, I interpreted it, he wanted to rape me. It's like, slow your roll, right? You know, just that's the stuff that is that fire, hair on fire kind of thing that we just need to calm down, right? I have news for you. This is it. We're all in this together. So we should find a way to get along. And if you're good looking, you know people are going to look at you. So understand that, right? If you don't want people to look at you, go out of your house with a hair that's a mess, wearing a satchel, right? A sack, and just cover your face, whatever it is. Trust me, man, if I had abs, I would never wear a shirt. I do have abs, but I just can't find them. At Chad Benson Show, your Twitter, 323-538-2423. Say what? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is my honor and privilege to announce that I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court.
There you have it, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, the nominee. Let's not forget that for a second. The nominee for the Supreme Court. Remember, President Trump isn't an emperor, as much as the left would like to think that's all he wants to be, is an emperor, right? The czar, the king, whatever you want to call it. You know, Chad, the only reason he is nominated is because in some of his writings he talks about that no sitting president should ever be indicted. That's the only reason that he is actually the nominee here. Slow your roll. There's a lot of reasons. This guy was on the short list before. He was here again for a reason. What is he like? Is he this person that is this super staunch conservative that is an originalist that's going to look at the document? And that's what this is about. Let's remember, this is about one thing: interpretation. How do they interpret the Constitution? The left interprets it as a living, breathing piece of paper that is evolving and changing. The right, they look at it as this is how it's written. It is meant to be interpreted that way. Period. Case closed. End of story. Now the battle is on, and this guy's had a battle to where he came from. The court that he sat on the land, that district court is probably the second most powerful court in the land, right? So he's on this court that is, you look at all the other federal, courts and you say to yourself, wow, this one, or is it the ninth court, or is it the sixth? His court is probably the second most because of, again, judge shopping, as a lot of, depending on what your issue is. But on top of that, the cases it saw and he saw. But his confirmation was not smooth. Was definitely normally you look in their confirmations are a lot closer, especially in the district courts and the lower courts. Those confirmations are a lot closer than his was. But he was confirmed. The guy got the legal chops. He has the knowing and the understanding of how the court system works. And it's all down to interpretation. In this day and age, the importance of the Supreme Court cannot be underestimated or undersold to the public. It is very, very important. And it's now up to him and the process. And that's what it is. You got to trust the process. And the process is going to be daunting. I saw him last night. He's got his wife. He's got his 2 kids there. And, this is not just about him. Over the next umpteen days and weeks, he is going to face a barrage of negative press. Everything he's ever done, everything he's ever written, everything he's ever joked about, talked about, no matter what it is. And don't be surprised if you're going to hear, he said this in, 2008, or he said a joke like this in 2006. And they're going to find everything they possibly can because now it's time to roll out the fear factor. That's what it's time for. It is the fear factor. Here is Mitch McConnell.
I fully anticipate we'll hear all kinds of fantastic stories about the pain and suffering that this perfectly qualified, widely respected judge will somehow unleash on America if we confirm him to the court.
Yeah. So, and you're going to hear those. And you're going to hear stuff that he supposedly did. He did bad things here. He said something here. The way that he's interpreting is this, that, and the other. Because that's both sides do. It's not just a Democrat thing. Both sides do it because when you have a chance to pick a Supreme Court justice and you understand the longevity of what this person may see in his or her lifetime on the courts, some 30 plus years, you understand how important this absolutely is to not only your presidency, but to America. And especially as we become more litigious and everything seems to end up in court, how important it is to us as our culture, as our livelihood, as all of these things.
basically the future of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years.
When the Constitution was written in the late 18th century, people were expected to die in their 50s. The framers never contemplated that these terms would regularly go to 30 plus years as they do now. And, you know, that I'm glad everybody's living longer, but that's what raises the stakes on these on these nomination fights so much more, because they serve for so long.
Yeah. I mean, you think about this. It's been 10 years, I think, about a decade, a little bit longer, about 13 years for Justice Roberts. 13 years, give or take. You know, he's been there. He's 63 years old, I think. If he does the same thing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he's still got another 22 years on the bench, and she's still not done. This guy's 50. Brett Kavanaugh's 50. He has another 3 decades potentially, as long as he stays sharp and he doesn't die, you know, because they are human beings. And let's be real. I mean, you know, you look at, Anthony Scalia and others. Sometimes you die. Sometimes things happen. You get sick. Not just, you know, physically, sometimes maybe mentally you start to lose it. So, I mean, but all things being what they are, there's a good chance this guy's got another at least 25, 30 years to be on that court. So, yeah, does it shape the court? It's vitally important. It really is. Now, what's going to happen? Well, first and foremost, if you're a Democrat, you got to do one thing.
If the Democrats succeed on shifting this confirmation battle to the ground of Roe versus Wade, that's a question for the American people. And while there's strong feelings on both sides, most Americans are somewhere in the mushy middle. They're for abortion in some cases, against it in others. And if they feel that he is extreme, if he can be portrayed as extreme on this issue, the Democrats might have a shot.
And they've got to portray him as extremely extreme. It can't just be like, you know, kind of a smidge, or maybe they, you know, you've got to make him bad and evil. That's how you win in this. And they know that they're coming from a point of desperation, right? The American people see that. And the American people are smart enough as a group, right? I'm not talking about individuals, but as a group, that we can look and go, look, they're going to throw some things out here now that's going to be uncomfortable. They're going to say some things. They're going to try to paint him in a light that's awful, that everything he's ever done. And the reality is we're going to find out who this guy is, right? Is he as perfect as some people say? This guy is perfect. He was born to be a judge. He was born to do this. He was born. I don't know about that, because he's a human being. And at the same time, is he going to be as bad as the left is going to portray him? No. Like everything, like they just said there, the mushy middle. But the left only has, you've got to say he's extremist, period. Can't say anything else. You've got to say he is an extremist and he is going to destroy everything in the world.
If anyone believes that Judge Kavanaugh or anyone else on the list would uphold Roe v. Wade, then I have a bridge to sell them.
Okay. I joked about it yesterday. Whenever I hear this guy mentioned, or any of the picks that potentially were out there, it was always just abortion, right? Maybe some civil rights here, but it was almost like he's not going to hear any other case. The minute abortion is not on the docket, they're like, you got to leave because you're only the abortion judge. That's all you're here for. You're Judge Abortion. You're not here for anything else. Just here for judging. Maybe we'll bring in for, you know, because we're thinking about getting rid of, throwing out, and, you know, civil rights, and you know, we're thinking about bringing back Jim Crow laws. But you may come back for that. But right now, all that we can say is you're abortion judge. So if it's not abortion, you know, we can't have you here. And that's not what he's just there for, right? But you've got to come after it if you're them, and in a way where you've got to paint him as an extremist. And I said, and I've been saying since Jump Street when it comes to this, it's a states' right thing. Abortion will be legal, but some states will choose to try to narrow it down. Look, this is it. If yes, you can get an abortion here, but it's got to be this, and this. And it can only be this, and this. And you're going to have to jump through some hoops. Like it or not, that's the reality. And some states have been doing that. They're not trying to overturn it. What they're trying to do is make it as difficult as possible. California makes it difficult for you. New York City makes it difficult for you to have guns, right? You got to jump through hoops. And even if you jump through all the hoops, they may still say, eh. Yeah, they may still say, eh. So for the left, what do? It's fear. Because fear is that one thing. You're going to lose something. You're going to have something taken away from you. You're going to lose something. So you've got to paint him as the most extremist human being on earth. Right? This is it. This guy he's as evil as it gets. He's a cisgender, male-privileged white man that is only here to take away your voting rights and your reproductive rights. That's what he's here for, period.
If Judge Kavanaugh was to be confirmed, women's reproductive rights would be in the hands of 5 men on the Supreme Court.
Oh. I've always said this about the whole abortion thing. Men, let's stay out of it. We will let the women all vote. All the women over the age of 18 have a say in this. So you all have a vote. And whichever way you guys choose, we're going to go from there. And sometimes I don't want to be involved. At this point in time, let you guys handle it on your own. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful day. What do you think of this character, this guy? Is he the one? Let me know. You can tweet the show at Chad Benson Show. You can text the program as well, 323-538-2423. Speaking of the one, I have the one, My Pillow, that is amazing, and it's made for me and my sleep. And let me tell you something. I sleep like there's no tomorrow now. I passed out last night, had a great night's sleep. I feel amazing. Thank you. You know, My Pillow is more than just one of these things where it's like, oh, okay, you bought a My Pillow. No, it's fit for you, right? They want to make sure you get it. To get the pillow that's going to help you sleep, and it will change everything. If you want to have a productive day, getting a great night's sleep is something that you need to do. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. And here's what they got for you. A little BOGO for you. What's BOGO, Chad? Buy one, get one free. That's what it is. All right? All you got to use my promo code Benson. That's it. That's all you have to do. I want you to do this. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. It's 100% machine washable, like I said. Dryable as well. Made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. This offer is limited, so get yours today. Buy one, get one free. A BOGO. You are going to love the way, man, I pass out. You have no idea. I sink into my bed, and then out I go. It is incredible. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson to buy one, get one free today. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Are you PC and groupthink brainwashed? Time for a double detox shot of Chad.
Everyone here has been working nonstop in this effort, and I mean the sacrifices in terms of the time, in terms of, you know, the equipment, in terms of your expertise, and for him, you know, the ultimate sacrifice of life.
That right there is Captain Jessica Tate. The boys are safe. They are out of that cave that they were in. It was a crazy story, right? You know, I mean, when you look back at this is one of those things. I remember as a kid growing up, you had a few of these in your life. What was it? Producer Phil, was it baby Jessica? Was she the one that fell in the well?
Yes.
You remember that? Yeah, she fell in the well, and it just the weirdness of life and how that these situations play out. I remember when she fell in the well, and the whole country watched it. Remember when they pulled her out, and the person that went down to get her was some guy that was, like, wasn't he part of a circus or something, and he didn't have, like, shoulder bones or something weird? Like, it was just all kind of a weird thing, the way that these things happen. And this guy, coach, he takes his kids for a team-building exercise, and lo and behold, as we find out, I'm sure over the next, coming days and weeks, that something happened. It was monsoon season. Maybe the rains came. They came too fast. They filled it up. The kids were looking for dry ground. They found it, but they got lost, and they're, 2 miles away from getting out, and people feared they were dead. They send in divers. Usually when you're at that point, you're not probably looking for live people. You're looking for, it's more of a recovery, and they didn't just recover them. They found them, and then today they recovered them. They recovered him, and they are out. And that is a huge thing. And if you're the coach, you worry, because you got a whole nation that thinks you're an awful person, and then some who probably think you're an okay person because, you were the last one to leave. You stayed there with your team. You seemed to keep them alive, and maybe you were more of a hero than a villain, but everybody's going to have their take on it because we live in a world where everybody has a take on everything.
He has been vilified by many for leading them into that cave that many people thought they would never get out of, but also praised for keeping them alive.
So we'll see. It's a crazy thing when you look at this entire situation. But the great news is they're all out, and we'll find out. One diver lost his life in the rescuing and the searching for these kids. You also had a doctor who, once they found the kids, volunteered to go down there, and he did, and he stayed there the entire time, and he was the one who decided which kids go first and what the stronger kids, you're going to stay a little bit longer, the kids that, the younger kids, because remember, it was a team of 16-year-olds all the way down to 11-year-olds, which one was going to go in which order, but they were in pretty good health, and a lot of that is the fact that they're athletes, I know, and they play a certain sport called soccer.
We're hearing good things about their conditions for the most part. They said that the boys, actually, their stamina was better than you might have expected because, why? Because they were on a soccer team. They, play sports and they are athletes, young athletes, and they probably had better overall health than kids who don't exercise a lot. So that seems to have weighed in their favor.
Wow, thank you, Sherlock. Did you know that, Producer Phil? If you exercise, you're probably in better shape than people who don't.
I was not aware of this.
Well, that's why she gets paid the medium bucks right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We're talking about the SCOTUS pick, Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh, good, bad, indifferent. People are freaking out. Fear is something that people use to evoke certain emotions, and it's about the actions. What will be the actions of the Democrats? How are they going to get this guy to not be confirmed? And here's the thing is, let's say he's not confirmed. What do you think? That's it? They give up? No, they'll try again. But they believe that by October 1st, he will be confirmed. And a lot of people think he is confirmable. And the reality is the Democrats don't have that kind of power, really, or control that they think they have. And that's what you're hearing is desperation. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The president said he has a solution to border security issues.
Tell people not to come to our country illegally. That's the solution. Don't come to our country illegally.
Meanwhile, though, federal judges say his government still needs to find solutions for reuniting those families. The government says it will miss the first court-ordered deadline today to reunite all young children under 5 years old, but that it's making progress on the issue.
Yeah, it's still a mess. Let's not pretend that it's not. Trump and his administration started this mess as far as the separation of parents. He didn't start the illegal immigration mess. He's trying to fix it. And it frustrates me that this happened. Today, apparently, 53 of the 100 kids under the age of 5 are supposed to be reunited. But there are some issues with people being, kids being reunited or given to family members or acquaintances, and on top of that, there's been some issues of adults who've been deported, but their kids are still here. This was not well thought out. I understand the enthusiasm to stop people from coming here illegally, but, you got to get it right. You have to get it right. This is my fear of government in general, of incompetence. Of all the things. Look, Democrats, if you want the roar of an approval of Republicans jumping on your side when it comes to issues, you all too often climate change. you miss the mark because you don't talk about the things that you should talk about. You make it about puppy dogs and you know, and a polar bear on a piece of ice. And you just look at things in a way of like, how can I get people to understand how stupid this was? You want to get people on the right to agree with you? Look at this and say, look, they're incompetent. They can't do anything. And people on the right, yeah, they are incompetent. This is why we want less government. Now, they won't agree with you on that, but you understand that this shows some incompetence here. And there has been some incompetence. And I don't care if you're a huge Trump supporter. The reality is this has been a giant cluster hump from Jump Street. And I've said all along, and I defended it, he didn't start this mess with illegal immigration. That happened decades and decades ago of administrations and Congresses from years gone by ignoring the illegal immigration that was happening because it benefited both sides. But the reality is the incompetence. I look at this and I say, you screwed up here. You really have. And the struggle now is finding people and putting them together, finding the right kids. It's just been a nightmare.
Images of children taken from their parents drew international outrage and a policy modification from President Trump.
We are keeping families together.
But matching the youngest children with their parents has proven more difficult than expected. Only about half of the 102 kids under 5 who were taken from their families at the border will be returned before a court-imposed deadline today.
And they're not going to hit that. And they're still having issues. And now, on the left side of the aisle, the get rid of ICE, this craziness that's out there and this chanting and, you know, open borders and blah, 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 and the caring for these kids. I do have a question for people out there. I see all the money that's pouring in. I see all the toys that are pouring in. I see all of the love and the respect and the admiration that's pouring in for these families. You know what I don't see is there's a lot of kids in the foster care system, right? My mother's adopted so many kids that are my sisters that would be in the foster care system, and some of them were for a while. And my mother was a foster parent before all of this. And my sister had all these kids, and she ended up losing them all. My mother takes on this, and my aunt takes on this. And you know what? I see billboards around Arizona and California looking for people to be foster parents. Why aren't you a foster parent? Right? You're so worried about these kids. But we got so many kids here in this country, nobody seems to give a rat's ass about them and the fact that their family is separated. You're not out there going, I'll be a foster parent, right? Because it's politically, it's nothing to it. There's nothing to it politically. Yeah, somebody's a dumbass and they do something stupid, they lose their kids, and you know what? I don't want that. I'd rather go and cheer and scream, get rid of ICE, blah, 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 blah. It's easier for me to do than for me to actually, it's all about action. Right? That's the way I look at life. It's about action. What is your action in this? You scream and yell at the top of the lungs. You'll carry a sign, but your action is only that. It ends there. And you only care to a certain extent. A little kid that's going to see her mother and father or his mother and father taken away today because of poor choices that they've made is going to be put in foster care, just as terrified as these kids. I don't see you raising money to help get them a lawyer. I don't see you saying, you know what, I'll take that person on. I'll open up my home. I'm just curious, right? I mean, I think it's a question it's a fair question to ask. It's about action, and your action says this is all about politics. That's all your action says. This is all about politics.
The reunification of undocumented immigrant families has brought some rare cooperation between the federal government and the American Civil Liberties Union, the two working together to identify parents and children and to get them back together. Once they've been reunited, the families will be allowed to stay in the U.S. to await immigration proceedings.
There you go. ACLU, everybody's getting involved. Look at them go, go, go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. With all the talk of SCOTUS and all this stuff over the weekend, the battle between Elizabeth Warren and Trump, and the rhetoric of Pocahontas, or whatever you want to call her, Fakeahontas, Pocahontas, he calls her, is ratcheted up. And, even some people on the left are saying, you know what? Just do it. Just get it over with. Take a DNA test and prove everybody wrong. Right? Like, I saw this weekend, Zac Efron. I don't know if you saw this, producer Phil, but he's getting torn apart because he has dreadlocks. Cultural appropriation. And I thought to myself, it's funny because those people don't scream the same thing about Elizabeth Warren. You haven't proved anything. You've said, I heard stories. Well, we've all heard stories about our family. It isn't until you actually know kind of what's going on there in reality, and now we've got the technology to do it. At some point in time, do it, right? What do it?
When I announce they are going to endorse me, because if I lose, should I lose, or if I don't run, they're out of business. Who's going to cover? They're going to cover Bernie? Hey, they're going to cover, like, Sleepy Joe Biden? They're going to cover Pocahontas? Think of it.
He's always taking a snipe. Now, she's, of course, pissed off, and she's angry. And, I saw Megyn Kelly, and I've seen even, again, people on the left are coming out and saying, you know what, let's just get this over with, because some people on the left are like, you've used this, and the reality is you've played it up bigger than it may not be, and you could be lying and using this to your advantage, or better yet, you could actually be what you say you are, and you could just shut him up altogether, and points for you.
Now even the liberals are saying, take a test. Let's say I'm debating Pocahontas, right? I will take, those little kits they sell on television for $2? I'm going to get one of those little kits. And in the middle of the debate, when she proclaims that she's of Indian heritage, because her mother said she has high cheekbones. That's her only evidence, that her mother said she had high cheekbones. We will very gently take that kid, and we will slowly toss it. And we will say, I will give you $1 million to your favorite charity, paid for by Trump, if you take the test and it shows you're an Indian.
Seems pretty fair, right? Seems fair. And again, at some point in time, and you've used this. Remember, you've used this to your advantage. Wouldn't you just say, I'm going to take this test and I'm going to prove to him that I am what I am? Unless, of course, your fear is you're not what you proclaim to be.
Why not just do it and get it off the table? Or one of those genetic testing things.
Why not just give in to a bully and get it off the table? Because it's not how you deal with
Barack Obama gave in to a bully when he released his. Did he give in?
How many years later?
No, I'm serious. Did he not give in to a bully based on that notion when he released his Hawaiian birth certificate?
I don't think so.
No, you don't. Well, you know what? You know how you stop a bully from being a bully? You stand up to the bully. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same results. And it's not just him, by the way. Long before Trump got here, her nickname was Pocahontas. People had questioned that from Jump Street. So at some point in time, don't you think you just stand up and say, I'm going to take this test and I'm going to prove that I am who I say I am? And maybe you're not. And maybe your mother and everybody told you stories. Maybe you find out you're adopted, right? Who knows? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. Car Shield. Hey, wherever you live in the country right now, things are expensive, right? You live in California, you live in Florida, you can live, things are getting a little bit more expensive. And you look around and you say to yourself, man, what are my assurances? Well, there's not a lot of assurances in life, but let me tell you something. There are when it comes to extended vehicle protection, and that is Car Shield. Car Shield's amazing. It makes the entire process of fixing a car for a cover repair so easy. Let's just say you take your car in, you find out that you have $2,000 worth of issues that are happening in your car, and you need to address them right now, and you're looking around and you're saying, oh, no, I better check the manufacturer warranty. Lo and behold, that's gone. You don't have that anymore. But you do have Car Shield. And Car Shield says, we got you covered. Car Shield gives you things like 24/7 roadside assistance. Oh, yeah. Gives you a rental car for free while your car's being fixed. And when it's being fixed, you choose that shop. You do, not them. Take it to where you want it. Take it to your favorite mechanic. Take it to dealership. They get them paid directly. Nothing. I'm talking about nothing. You're not fronting them anything. They get them paid directly. Save yourself thousands of future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate and extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson. That's going to save you 10% right there. Carshield.com, code Benson, or call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Yeah, that's right. Your Twitter kids right there. At Chad Benson Show. You can text the program as well. 323-538-2423. We got your Twitter poll. We'll talk about that and your useless info of the day. And we're going to talk about popes today. Popes and the useless info. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
President Trump did exactly what he said he was going to do. He has appointed someone who will not protect a woman's right to make decisions about her life, her health care, her reproductive freedom.
Wait, what? Can I just say this, right? And I'm a guy that is, you know what? I think you are allowed to make your choices in life. But you make your choices throughout the day, right? You choose to be in situations, you choose to date somebody, you choose to sleep with somebody, you choose to make certain choices, and I got no problem with your choices. But I'm just throwing that out there, right? We forget about all of these things. Not having a child, it's not the hardest thing in the world to do, right? It's like drinking and driving. There are things you can avoid in life. Drinking and driving is one of those things, right? Not getting pregnant. Well, Chad, in the heat of the moment. Look, and I know there are circumstances, right? We can all point on both sides to one or two small circumstances out of hundreds of thousands of. But the reality is, you know, he hates women. That's why he's appointing somebody who also hates women. It's like the fear mongering. It's just stop taking us as idiots. And by the way, if you're sold on the fear mongering, if this is what does it to you, and fear can do a lot of things to people. If this is, it's ridiculous. It really, really is. You know, this is it. It's over. It's you know, it's the same thing. You just pick somebody. Bernie Sanders.
Tell the Supreme Court that we think it's absurd that they give constitutional rights to billionaires to buy elections and then tell women they don't have the constitutional right to control their own bodies.
You had the right to control your own body, and you still do. It's not going anywhere, right? But the rhetoric is so the same. It's so the same. It really is. And we forget about the fact that you have to take personal responsibility in your life long before you get to that point when you want to make another choice. Sometimes you've made poor choices all along the way and you want to make another choice. And I, as a freedom-loving cat, I don't care what choice you make in life. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, you do your own. You do you. I'll do me. This is my lane. That's your lane. But we forget about all the other personal responsibility. We throw all of the other personal responsibility out there. We say personal responsibility. No, we don't need any personal responsibility. You made a mistake. We'll fix it for you. Right? That's the way you view it. All right? I just say, after a while, you just stand back, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing from both sides the BS, the lies, the crap, the scaring the stupid. That's what it is. It's scaring the stupid and simple-minded. They're going to put, people back in chains. Shut up. It's not going to happen. I'll be the first one on the line to fight to stop that from happening. And I know a lot of my friends who are conservative will be right there next to me. Right? If they ever try to do that. They're going to take away a woman's right to choose. No, in some states they may narrow it. I'm not going to lie to you. But no, they're not. Nor should they. It's settled. We move on with ourselves. But this is the crap and I'm just so sick of it. And I'm starting to realize it's all about scaring the simple-minded and stupid because it's easy to do. Because somebody who's living their life and has their crap together is like, I'm moving on with my life. I'm not going to buy into this because I've been told this before. There is a fable about this. It's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf, right? But eventually, what? A wolf comes? No. No, because the problem is the wolf never comes because they are the wolf crying wolf over and over and over again about the other wolf. There's that, and if you sheep will buy into this crap, it's on you. I'm over it. The sky is falling. Our freedoms are gone. When? When does it happen? When? I'm just curious. When is it happening? What day is it happening? Do we have a date? Anybody? But you can just pick Christian Gillibrand. You could pick Bernie Sanders. So how about this guy here, Chuck Schumer?
If Judge Kavanaugh was to be confirmed, women's reproductive rights would be in the hands of 5 men on the Supreme Court.
It's funny because I talked to a liberal woman yesterday, and she is she's a reporter, good person, really, really, really funny. And she says, I hear this stuff, and I think to myself, how stupid do you think we are? And I said, well, you know what? It's not you they're talking to. They're talking to a lot of people out there that are fly-by-night political watchers, and they don't hear anything from either side. They just hear just certain words, trigger words, and it's crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, our Pope, along with many other popes, wasn't born a pope, became one, but before that he did a lot of things, including be a bouncer. Yeah, in Buenos Aires. How about that, kids? He was a bouncer. Have yourself a good rest of your Taco Tuesday. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.